This story begins with a monologue by the protagonist of the ruler of all things on earth, Xin Sheng. He was the ruler of a great empire, and in order to become perfect and rule his people forever, he went to the demon world for strength and knowledge. But on his return to Earth, he realizes that a whole millennium has passed since he left. But that's not his only problem. The immortality he sought poured into a childish body that makes him not be taken seriously at first. But an aristocratic form cannot be passed off, nor can a child's countenance hide his strength and intelligence. At the marketplace behind where the portal took him, he encounters female warriors who initially take him for a waif and want to turn him in. The former emperor uses his newly acquired Eye of Wisdom ability to find their main weakness and emerge victorious from the trouble. So their main weakness is their secret sympathy for the lovely children, which Xin Sheng takes advantage of. In the same company of beautiful female warriors, from the girl who knocked him down, he learns that his empire is left in ruins, and the world has gone the way of technology and science. But even after all these centuries, the symbols of his kingdom excite other people's minds, and someone wants to break into the emperor's secret shrine and steal the artifacts stored there. The female warriors want to stop the thief, as they consider themselves the last representatives of the emperor's subjects. Watching all this happening, Emperor Xin Shen comes to the conclusion that it is time to say goodbye once and for all to the ruins of his empire and build a new one. Xin Shen secretly follows the girls in order to make sure they do not suffer for his relic, which is the emperor's throne and the scepter hovering over it. The thief is stronger than the valiant defenders of the emperor's heritage and catches them with his tentacles out of the ground, sucking their abilities and strength. Just as the thief is about to sacrifice them, Emperor Xin Shen himself intervenes and saves the situation. Xin Shen reveals his true face, allowing himself to be struck dead a couple of times, testing his immortality and demonstrating his greatness. The thief is horrified, and one of the warriors awakens the blood memory of the vassal oath that her ancestors swore to the emperor. His first subjects kneel before the new emperor of the earth and deal with the thief with their increased strength. After the first fight, the emperor and his new subjects decide to set out on a journey to create a new empire. Xin Shen once again marvels at the technological advancement of this world, the train, and as a sign of change, he crumbles the ruins of his palace by riding underneath it. But they are not traveling alone in the compartment. The emperor, while still speaking to his vassals, notices a hare. Lurking right on the luggage shelf is a girl named Wang Ming. The heroes immediately recognize her as the girl from the wanted poster. It says that the girl is wanted for not paying taxes and killing soldiers. Upon learning of this, Emperor Xin Shen decides to begin the history of his rule with the places where such laws reign. But then the guards come running to them, wanting a reward for the fugitive girl. The emperor learns of their greed once again, applying the Eye of Wisdom, and wants to play on it. But the soldiers don't want to share and shoot him. His vassal Chun Yongyu is furious again, thinking that the guards' bullets did kill the emperor and she failed to protect him as she swore. She kills the arrogant men, causing them to now have to flee with the criminal Wang Ming from the train. Yin Shen again cleverly frames the moment of her wound and convinces the girl to show them her hiding place, which she clearly sought. And just as she, thinking that the boy was dying because of her, agreed, the wounds on Xin Shen's body healed to Wang Ming's shock. Together they arrive at the girl's hideout, where they meet her mother Lai. She tells them about the dishonorable orders of the Iron City and that her family decided to destroy her and take away her lands. But they did not comply. When the soldiers of the city guard were about to massacre them, a spirit defender of their lands came to their aid and swept the squad away. Only one commander survived and escaped. Exactly at this moment, the same commander was following in their footsteps and was already close by. But Emperor Xin Shen sensed him and prevented him from launching a surprise attack. But the commander had another trump card. He was able to imprison a defensive spirit in an artifact and set it on the heroes. But as soon as he sent it to Xin Sheng, he did not move from his place and stopped the spirit and returned to him his true appearance. The creature turned out to be a founding spirit Bao Sanyao. Subscribe to the channel, thank you. Who many centuries ago was the spirit bodyguard of the emperor, so his desire to follow the fugitive Wang Ming was not accidental. He felt in her echoes of the presence of his vassal and came up with this plan. Frustrated guard commander tried to take control of the spirit, but was defeated, decided to shoot the emperor in the body of a boy. But Xin Shen had already learned this weapon and disarmed him, giving the spiritual power of the enemy to Bao Sanyao to eat. And at this time, they watched a new opponent, Iron City Councilor Qi Zai, who made the same mistake as everyone else, did not take the young-looking Xin Shen seriously. Having dealt with the guards that swooped down on their hideout, Xin Shen wondered why kill Wang Ming and her mother if they were already kicked out. After spending the night, they all moved to Wang Ming's land where the soldiers were operating. They stumbled upon a drilling rig that once again delighted the emperor with its technology. But it also answered his question. Under the ground were valuable resources, namely divine copper, so necessary in the creation of heavy weapons. Xin Shen decides to fight the greedy head of the Iron City and takes the whole mountain of copper for further negotiation. At this time, the head of the Iron City, blonde girl Du Sen, resented why the head of the guards, which would be sent to take the land of Wang Ming, has not yet returned. The councilwoman uses her powers to show the head the information she needs and convinces her that the heroes who did this to her people need to be dealt with once and for all. To do this, they send the commander of the city guard, Bao Wu. The brave warrior, aware of his power, goes to great lengths to do his duty and protect the citizens of the city from the heroes. Poison in the tea, soporific gas in the bombshell, and weapons are all in play. But the emperor's subjects are strong warriors and dispose of everything. And Xin Shen himself helps with the poison, as he always notices the surveillance and pursuit before anyone else. But when the chief of the guard is defeated and all that is left is to finish him off so that no more threats come out, Xin Shen is imbued with his desire to serve the people and agrees to turn. Bao Wu reports that Madame Wang Lai, Ming's mother, wants to sell the lands the head of the city likes, which surprises both Du Xin and her advisor Qi Zai. But negotiations quickly gain momentum when Xin Shen demands to pay 20 billion for the future costs of the war she started. The head of the city, that turns out to be a dwarf in human form, attacks the former Earth Emperor. And a fight ensues between Xin Shen's subject and Du Zeni. Councilwoman Qi Zai doesn't understand why such a provocation is necessary. But then it comes to her time. In the meantime, Chen Yongyu infiltrates the Iron City's secret weapons under the guise of Bao Wu, commander of the city guards. The ensuing battle with the head of the Iron City turns out to be a loss for the girl, who finds herself in the lap of the emperor and spanked for excessive greed, which threatens to turn into war and the destruction of her city and the unjustifiable loss of life. Calling for help from her people, she discovered that the councilwoman had fled, leaving the phantom behind, and the commander of the guards himself was angry with her for not being told a word about such global plans and for the cost of war would destroy the well-being of the city for which he was willing to die. But the head of the city proved far more stubborn, and to convince her, Xin Shen decided to bring the councilwoman back. They escaped to the armory and seized Chen Yongyu, putting her in a slave collar, which caused all the injuries Qi Zai received many times reflected on Chen Yongyu. So she thought to restrain the emperor, but her calculations were wrong. The power of calculation, power of the emperor, and a perfect mimicry helped him open the collar and hide his vassal inside him and imprison the mean advisor in a cage of the universe by giving him his own poisoned tea. Upon learning that the boy who came to negotiate with her was the emperor of the ancient Xin Shen Empire himself, the head of the Iron City calmed her ardor, and then Xin Shen opened her eyes to the fact that her advisor was a special agent of another Bailey Empire and led her by the nose. And if all succeeded and Du Xini captured a neighboring city, the Bailey Empire would send troops to their land and take the two cities in one fell swoop, saying that's how to suppress the aggressor. As punishment for his stupidity and greed, the emperor puts the head of the city in the slave's collar that Qi had, and puts the master's collar on Wang Lai, from whom the head wanted to take her lands and kill her. Wang Lai now has to play the role of Qi Zai to make the foreign empire think that everything is going according to their plan. And Emperor Xin Shen himself and his companions decide to go to this northern cunning empire to deal with those who can so easily plunge whole cities into chaos and destruction. The demon road, which the emperor walked, endowed him not only with immortality and strength, but also with what he had previously avoided, feelings and humanity. On his new journey, the emperor began to study the millennial history of the world to better understand what happened to the world he knew and how the road of civilization progressed. So he learned that the races that inhabited his domain had begun to take on human form, and that it was most likely his fault. The emperor chose not the easiest route to the Bailey Empire, having learned that there are remnants of the people that were his vassals in the city of Athora, which the ruler of the Iron City wanted to seize. Soon after their arrival, an adventurer who is pursued by the wild vines flies out at them. Xin Shen refuses to help, and the vines, contrary to the rules, catch the lone fleeing adventurer rather than a cluster of people. The reason for their behavior is simple. The wild vines as well as the bodyguard spirit turn out to be the very people who bent the knee to Emperor Xin Shen. The head of the wild vines, Ba Lily, greets the emperor and immediately complains that the old treaties between the people have been broken and they have begun to invade their wild lands, calling themselves adventurers. Emperor Xin Shen, as a wise ruler striving for virtuous rule, for which he set out on the demon road, takes it upon himself to solve the problem of his plant vassals that, like other races, have taken human form. To solve this problem, they head for the city of Athor, built in the shape of a sword. And on their approach, signs of troubled times await them. The bodies of the murdered who have not bothered to put to the ground. Infiltrating the city again using Xin Shen's ability to find people's weaknesses, they head for the Adventurers Guild that so short-sightedly declared war on the Wild Vines settlement. They are immediately greeted by the guild's creator, Sugu Jin, and told of the rules and opportunities when they join. To which Xin Shen expresses his regret that such a young organization leads the town into decline and pushes it to the brink of destruction. This causes a conflict among the guild administration, which is quickly resolved by Sugu Jin, who has special eyes that can see the personal data of the creature standing before him, except that he is unable to see the data of the emperor himself. The latter, not wishing to linger too long since he has learned everything he wants, gives the guild the task of uncovering Bailey's spies, promising the adventurer who succeeds in doing so a piece of divine copper. At this time, by his decree, the commander of the Iron City Guards arrives at the Wild Vines to provide force support and training. And while Bao Wu is engaged in his task, Xin Shen orders his companions to take care of the defense of his last imperial lands, which the adventurers will want to attack. The decision was timely as the guild creator Sugu Jin and his men were already on their way. But only the emperor knew that Sugu Jin was a man from another world and the de facto ruler of other. The pieces were placed in their places. The battle between the soldiers of the Iron City companions of Xin Shen and the adventurers of Yuter for the lands of the Wild Vines began. The emperor's first military ploy to put reinforced fighters at the beginning of the squads worked, and the determining eye of Sugu Jin faithfully counted the balance of power, forcing him to withdraw his men from direct attack and take to those positions that were needed Chunyang Yu to attack. Gradually, attack after attack, all of the adventurers' scouts were eliminated by Emperor Xin Shen's expertly placed forces. The moment arrives for the next more radical move by Sugu Jin, head of Yuter, to which the emperor of the ancient empire Xin Shen has already prepared an answer in the person of his vassal Wu Lai, a dragoness with wild power in the form of a man.